Hello, this is Model Monday episode 40, and here I have Trumpeter's 1/32 scale measurement ME262 B-1a U1. This is the two-seat training version of the ME262, and it is also a night fighter. Here's the box art showing the two-piloted ME262. Here are the two different markings included in the kit, 10 and 11, red 10, red 11. Both very similar schemes. And just your usual history of the aircraft and some pictures of the model. As for the model itself, there's very great detail throughout, as you will see. Here is the main wing panels. These have excellent rivet details. I don't see any warping or anything like that, and the plastic is not very thick, especially on the edges, which is nice. This is molded in Trumpeter's regular gray plastic. And here you can see the underside of the wing. Alright, next we have two of the same sprues. Now I will show you this one first. These are the engine covers. Very nice detail on those panel lines and rivets. And then here I believe these are the end caps for the B-1a engines. Then we have the same exact sprue, identical and everything, but molded in clear plastic. This is so you can see the detail in the engine. Now, this is a really interesting detail that I'm sure a lot of people would like to capitalize on, except, like the non-clear version, there are injector pin marks. That's definitely a downside if you want to have the engine visible, although I guess you just could have some of the individual panels clear and others not. Moving on, we have this sprue, and I think these are a few of the bulkheads and smaller details. Here we have, I believe this is the floor panel for the cockpit. Here's the seat and a few of the smaller details. Next, I believe this is the internal fuel tank. The ME262 does have a few side panels that can be opened for maintenance. I believe this kit provides detail for inside of there. That's definitely a plus. Yeah, so I believe these are the fuel tanks that go in the fuselage, and these two halves are the drop tanks in case it's going long distances, which I don't really think fits on a late war ME262. I mean, I don't think they were going very far. Who knows? Although they definitely look cool on the plane. Alright, next, the last major sprue of this kit are the actual fuselage halves. Again, like the rest of the kit, the panel line and rivet detail is amazing. There does appear to be a seam there. And just pretty much the same thing here. This is that panel that can be opened. On the inside, there is some detail as well. Just mostly just the ribbing and other stuff on the side, same thing. And of course, right here is where the cockpit is, so there has to be detail there. There's just a few things left. Here we have parts for the ailerons and tail control, elevator, rudder, wheels. The actual wheels themselves are molded in rubber. Here you can see the landing gear. The kit does provide metal landing gear. I guess this is just another option just in case. I'll show you the metal ones in a minute. The detail on this kit is really nice. Not entirely sure what all these details are. I believe this is for the engines. Here we have the 30 millimeter, I believe it's MK108 cannons. And this is just the same sprue again. And the last plastic for this kit, these are just the bulkheads for in between the cockpit. Like I said, there's 2 pilots, so there has to be a few different interior panels like that. Next, for the actual parts of the kit, there's this little goodie box included in the kit. This pretty much just has some of the smaller, more delicate pieces. If I can get it open. Yeah, so just the clear parts. I'm not going to take them out of the bag. I don't want to scratch them. The parts that's not supposed to be clear on the clear parts is fogged so that it can accept paint easier. What's really interesting about this is the instrument panels are clear as well. And these 2 seem to have fallen off the sprue, although I don't think that's a big issue. The actual wheels themselves are molded in rubber. I guess that's a plus. I mean, I don't think it would be a huge issue to have them in plastic. The actual landing gear arms, I guess, are molded in this. I'm not entirely sure what metal. Maybe pewter. Kind of looks like pewter, although they do have a visible seam line. I don't think that's going to be very hard to get rid of. Get 3 of those, 2 for the under the wings, and then 1 for the nose. What's nice about this kit is a few pieces of photo etch are included. You get the seatbelts. Remember, there are 2 pilots, so double the amount of seatbelts. And then what's also really interesting about this kit is this instrument panel. This is for the front pilot, I believe. Is molded in this, is in this, I guess you could say, I think it's metal. Photo etch printed thing. Similar to some of the EduArt things. I guess we could open this up. I think it's backwards, so I'm not entirely sure. There could be detail on the other side. Just 1 second while I struggle to open this. Oh, okay, so this is not metal. This is plastic. Guess you're supposed to cut it out. I'm not entirely sure. Unless it's some sort of decal. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. That's definitely unique. That is it for the actual parts of the kit. The next thing I'll be going over are the instructions. As usual, at the beginning, it just gets you overview of all the parts. And just labeled as film, so I'm not entirely sure what that's referring to. As usual for these type of aircraft, starting with the cockpits, adding some of the bulkheads, landing gear. Moving on to the armament, those 4 30mm cannons. Bulkheads for that. A lot of extra detail, I guess, could be put into those. Wiring and whatnot. Next, moving on to the engines. These are the wing-mounted engines, which is a little bit odd to start with for this type of kit. Anyway, these are not too complicated, although I don't think they are crazily detailed. Adding some accessories like those drop tanks. Moving on to that fuel tank. Yeah, so there's not much in the nose of the aircraft except the fuel tank and the stuff for all the guns and everything. adding some details where the landing gear go and some details for that invisible part in the fuselage. There's not a whole lot going on in the nose. Although this vehicle does have radar, so I think that's in the nose as well. Yeah. Yep. Adding a few more smaller details, attaching the landing gear. And then that's after a few more things. You move on to the tail, adding the rudder, elevator. That's it, after adding the canopy. The radar is not photo etch, it's just plastic. I'm sure you could replace parts with wire. I don't think that'd be a huge issue, although I do not pay attention to the plastic parts. As for the markings in this kit, as I previously went over, there are two different marking possibilities. The first one is red 10, which was just the ME-262B, piloted by Kurt Wiltera. These two are slightly different, these two schemes. They have, one of them, this first one, red 10, has the green and brown splotches. And then the second scheme, piloted by Herbert Altner, and then again in 45, is just that dark gray on the pale white scheme, similar to that of the first one, but not completely identical. And that is it. It's just all black on the bottom of the plane. As for the markings and decals supplied in this kit, it does give you multiple different options for the Luftwaffe cross, two different options for the swastikas, although those are in separate parts. One with a white outline, one with no outline. Then these little smaller markings from, assuming, the fuel caps and stuff like that. Some of the other smaller details. And that is pretty much it for this kit. Overall, it is very nicely detailed. I guess I would recommend it to anyone wanting to build the ME-262B to pilot the trainer, although I do know Revell has a kit of this aircraft. I'm not entirely sure how different that is than this one. I'm sure they're pretty similar. This is a rather new one. I think it's 10 years old by now. It's not too old, and it, like I said throughout the video, it has very nice detail. Alright, thank you very much for watching. I think I'll have more regular updates about my projects pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. I'm not entirely sure when I'll post those, though. I recently went to a few contests, did pretty well on those. I'll make a video about that, too. And I'm nearing completion on one of my, well, I guess you could say, halfway through one of the dioramas I'm making. I do think I'm going to take a pause on that to build this, just for a change of pace. You know, haven't built a plane in almost a year. Well, actually, well over a year by now. So, again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.